Ah, the French, known for their bistros, cuisine, fashion, and masterful pieces of art. It's a land and a people that invoke elegance and romance, which is honestly truly bizarre because holy fuck the violence. Just so many decapitated corpses. As an example of the scale of death we're talking about here, underneath Paris is an elaborate and largely uncharted series of centuries-old mines and tunnels that covers around 2,000 acres, being used to store millions of corpses that were overflowing the graveyards in the late 1700s following the French Revolution, which may have added a few extra bodies. At first, the bones of the long-dead Frenchmen were just dumped into big old piles, all willy-nilly, Wilson-Nilsson, if you will. But in the early 1800s, a French politician looked at all these bones and thought to himself, No, this won't do at all. You know what I'm thinking? A giant wall of bones, sir? No. But I love that idea, let's do that. He decided that the piles of bones were just weird and unsightly. So he oversaw a crew to stack up the tibias, the fibias, the pelvises, and the skulls into delightful patterns, like any sane and well-adjusted person would do. Speaking of well-adjusted, inventive Frenchmen, during the latter half of the Revolution, a period of culling was instituted to become known as the Reign of Terror. Originally meant to execute counter-revolutionaries, it kinda just became a free-for-all against political and personal enemies. Well, executing that many with rifles, clubs, and swords gets a little tedious day in, day out. So at the direction of one of the more influential members of the newly established government, they decided to implement a new invention. Developed by a doctor who was against capital punishment. The guillotine. The prisoner would be locked into stocks, and a giant blade would fall and slam on the back of his neck, decapitating him almost instantly. There are stories about heads, after being picked up out of the basket, would still wink or grimace or blink. But this was all before a totally normal-sized man who liked to pose fiddling his nip became emperor, fought the world, won a lot of wars, made a lot of monarchs very mad, lost a bunch of wars, and died on a tiny island. Such a romantic end. This isn't to say that all the French are inventively cruel, sadistic, smelly, arrogant, wife-stealing sexual assaulters. I mean, West Virginia has a few of them. But France did spawn a man that has baffled scientists and was basically a bottomless pit. A dude with an appetite that put competitive eaters and Walmart rascal warriors to shame. While little is known about his early life, Tarrare, born in the French countryside, from an early age his appetite was insane. His family, getting eaten into poverty, abandoned him when he was a teen. Tarrare began using his talent to perform as he wandered the countryside, eating full buckets of eggs, corks, stones, coins, and even a live cat. This, along with his diet of rotten meat and literal trash, may have explained the wicked and foul odor that he emitted. So overpowering that it was said that he could be smelled from 3 streets away. Doctors took notice of him, and curious of his strange biology, offered him a wage to become a research subject. When they looked in his mouth, his throat was so wide they were able to see into his stomach, which was so massive that it filled the better part of his abdomen and chest cavity. For his part, while he was there, Tarrare continued eating whatever he could reach. Wound dressings, blood samples, and small instruments. Hospital staff was forced to lock the doors of the morgue when they found Tarrare eating a corpse. Hello, I'm here to pick up my father's remains. Yes, of course. Just give me a moment. It appears we've, misplaced it. Oh, I see. Yes, come back later. Excuse me, doctor. It seems a baby went missing from the nursery. When a baby went missing from the hospital, Tarrare was suspected, and he was summarily shooed away. I don't mean they ran him off, I mean they literally threw some leather shoes expecting him to go eat him, which he likely did. By this point, he had become rather well known, and he had caught the attention of the military. His talents had piqued their interest, who believed that his ability to eat and digest items that were traditionally inedible would prove a valuable skill for a spy. As a test, they fed him a small wooden box containing a message and sent him into Prussia. only to have him be immediately caught because he didn't know the language and he could be smelled from 3 blocks away. In interrogation, he almost immediately confessed. The Prussians, after retrieving the object after it passed, found the note was nothing more than useless trivia. Finding Tarrare not to be an exceptional threat, they released him. Tarrare was once again on his own, resuming his career as a street performer and eating whatever scraps he can get a hold of, and died in his mid-20s after he contracted tuberculosis. Ah, such is life. We live by our carnal needs, and I'm sorry, he ate a child! Hopefully you enjoyed that story. Please remember to like, subscribe, ring that bell for notifications, and until next time, toodaloo.